Lauren, I miss you.
I miss you, Nat.
Well, I honestly wish, like, sometimes I think if you lived next door, I probably would get nothing done. Well, that's not
Oh,
true. I would bring my laptop over and I would be like, we're working right now.
yeah. I mean, I think we would have tangents where we would just talk about life and drink coffee or wine or whatever. But I think we would be productive.
I think so too. I
We'd
think if
have
we were in
more.
the same room, we would be I think we actually might be more productive.
I think, though, we would have to have scheduled time away from each other because otherwise we would just be,
Thanks.
everybody would be like, those two are always together. What's wrong with them?
Appreciate that. Thank you so much for already scheduling time away from me.
No, I'm like, everyone would be like, always together.
Yes, we would be.
Why are they going to the bathroom together all the time?
Because our bladders are synced. What do you want us to do? Why do they got to judge us like that? Well, I am thrilled that we get to talk before today's podcast, as always, because today's topic is something that I am curious to know what your answer is. I know what my answer is. So how did you know that you were done having children?
Oh, geez. I mean, there were a few different factors. I had really rough pregnancies. Financially, like it was tough to sustain being a stay-at-home mom. So I wanted to go back to work. I didn't have a lot of help as far as childcare. So it was a few different things.
So it wasn't like you're like, I can't stand these little humans. I don't want any more. Do you think that if you had unlimited budget, do you think you would have had more?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Because I'm crazy.
You are crazy. You're not really crazy. Do you think you would have had more? So for the record, Lauren has 4 girls. So she has a singleton, then her twinnies, and then another singleton. Do you think you would have had more because you were trying for that boy, or you would have been happy if it was 4 more girls?
Well, the other thing was that we were like, should we try? We were like, maybe. But then I was like, do I really want a 5th girl? Because I was convinced I was never going to have a boy. So it wasn't like I was going to try for a boy. I hated the pregnancy part, but I loved the newborn and the babies. That's why I'm a postpartum.
Makes sense.
So, I don't know. I don't really know what it was that we just loved having babies. I mean, because we're crazy.
You're not crazy. You guys are great parents, and that's a fun time.
Yeah,
and it is
not for all. Not for all.
No, not for all. I couldn't have more. So, honestly, there was no deciding. They were like, that shop needs to close, and I'm like, okay, sounds good. That was enough for me. So yeah, we won't go into that, but that's how I knew, is because I was told. I was told that had to happen, which now I think that things have changed. So one of the big components to why I was told to not have kids is because of this weird, stupid genetic blood clotting disorder. Because of that and the way that it was treated at the time, it was very hard to regulate. So because the twin delivery could be early and then they couldn't change the blood thinners, and that's where the poop hit the fan. But we're going to talk to a twin mom, Emilia, today, and she's going to really tell us about how she knew. And I think it's so different for so many people, of course, even just for us. But it's always interesting to hear other people's reasons, because it's not always what you think, right? It's not always financial. It's not always help. There's so many reasons why people are like, we're closing up shop, we're done.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Are you ready to hear today's episode?
Yes.
All right. So without further ado, here we go. I cannot believe we're finally, after 18 million episodes of this Twiniversity podcast, we're finally talking about when enough is enough. And I don't mean the patience that we have, because we all know that expires really quickly. But I am so excited that we get to discuss, how do you know when you are done having children? My guest today is one fancy Chicagoan twin mom, Emilia. Thank you for playing with us today.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Round of applause. I'm applauding in a circle, guys. I am so intrigued by this topic because we don't have it covered. I don't actually know how we haven't had it covered, but the fact that you had 3 and then we're like, let's just have one more, babe. This is going to be great. And then you got twinnies, and here we are at this conversation. So you have, your first child was a dude, right? You had boy
Yes.
first, then you had a girl, and most people would have said, "Oh, you're good. Your family's complete." I'm sure you were
But we
getting,
got that perfect. One boy and one girl. You're all done. And we went, uh-huh.
and then you're like, "No, we're
Yeah,
not.
no.
We're going to roll these dice again." And then you had another little chick that was tiny when you got pregnant with the twinnies.
Yeah. So she was 18 months maybe when I got pregnant with the twins. About that.
Oh my goodness. And then when you went for your may or may not have been your final round of this, you found that second heartbeat.
Yes.
Was that what you were trying to do from the beginning? Please break it down because as we know, most twin families we just want more. We always everybody want the twins that has twins. Says literally very few people that have
No.
twins.
Four kids were planned. That was the plan, was to have four. And we need to come back to this, but ironically, it was like, okay, we're kind of like at that, in theory, ready to try. Most of our kids are all 2-ish years apart, 2+, 2 and a little bit. And I literally was like, in theory, I'm ready and I want four kids, but we were really good with the 3 kids. Like we had a really good rhythm. And it took a while to get that good rhythm of 3, I think. And so, yeah, we went for baby 4. I knew I was pregnant and we were literally going into a weekend with 3 family dinners in 5 days. And I said to my husband, I'm pretty sure I'm pregnant, but we have these family dinners. Should I take a pregnancy test or should I not? And he said, plausible deniability, don't take it. Because then we can go to the family dinners and you can make an excuse about why you're only having an inch of wine or this or that. We can kind of cover up the drinking so nobody knows. And then if anyone asks us, we can say no because we don't know. And so then I took a pregnancy test and it was instantly positive. And I was like, I'm just slower taking it than with the other kids. Fine. 4th baby. We went out. It was Labor Day weekend. We went out of town for the weekend. I remember driving home in the front seat of the car going, I am so incredibly sick. The whole weekend, I was like, I'm going to throw up every turn. The only thing I could eat was soup. Eat a cup of soup for every meal because I couldn't keep anything else down. And I had been sick with all 3 of my singletons. I'm pretty sick, through 16, 18 weeks with them. And so I thought, okay, this is normal. 4th kid, we're running around. It was hot out, like all the things. And I went to schedule an OB appointment, went to my same OB I'd been going to for almost 7 years at that point. Went to go see the ultrasound tech I had seen for 7 years. She's like, how are you feeling? I said, terrible, way worse than the other kids. I do not know what's going on. And she pulls up the ultrasound. She's, well, here's why. 2 heartbeats. And I was like, wait, what? Excuse me? And she's like, yeah, 2 babies, 2 distinct stacks, 2 distinct placentas. I was probably 8.5 weeks pregnant at that point. And I was by myself. I was like freaking out. She said, can I give you a hug at the end? Because I was like literally in shock.
Oh.
And I started crying. And I walked out of the ultrasound because then I had a OB appointment after. Walked out, sent to the front desk. And I'm like, I got to call my husband. Walked out of the office, called my husband. And he's, what's wrong? He knew I had an appointment. And I was like, it's 2 babies. And he goes, that's great. And I was like, what do you mean that's great? And he said, it's great. It's going to be great. It's going to be so fun. We wanted a big family. This is great. And I was like, I cannot believe this is your reaction right now. It's so positive. And he's like, why? We're going to do wonderful. Like, don't worry. And I was like, it's too many kids. This is more than we planned for. This is so much. And he had the best reaction. I went back in, went to my appointment. There was a nurse practitioner at this OB office that had been there forever. And I hear her, and she was retiring like 6 days later. I hear her in the hallway. I know that patient. I'm going in there. And she walked into my appointment and she goes, you'll do great. 1, you've had 3 healthy pregnancies. You're a great mom. You could do this. And she goes, 2, you got 2 apartments with 2 refrigerators. This is the healthiest pregnancy you can have for twins. You've had 3 good pregnancies. You will be fine. You got this. And I was like, how are you so confident?
Aw. See, when people believe in you when you don't believe in yourself.
That was my whole, this has been my whole twin mom life of people going, of everyone we know, you're the one that can handle this. And I was like, are you sure? Because it doesn't always feel like it. But yeah, so I was due, I was 37 weeks on April 1st. So my goal was to have April babies. I had gone post-date with my singleton. So this was like a very different experience of, not having a much sooner end date. And so I was very sick. I told my job like that Monday.
Oh.
I actually I said to my husband that night, I said, I have to just tell everyone, my family, I have 5 brothers and sisters. I was like, I got to just get this out so everyone can freak out at the same time. And then we move on. And he was like, okay. So we called my parents that night and my mom goes, is this a joke? I said, no, Mom, it's not a joke. And I hear her yelling, Greg. It's like, yeah, Emilia, pregnant with twins. And my dad goes, that's great. And I'm like, why is this the best reaction? That's great.
I love that though.
So, and then I literally texted my sibling like chat, just a picture of the ultrasound and just said surprise. And my sister works in the medical field and my sister-in-law is a nurse midwife. And both of them were like twins. I'm like, yeah, you guys know what you're looking at here. So I'm from a family of big families. I have 5 brothers and sisters. It's all singletons. My mom has, 50 first cousins and there are no twins anywhere. Generations of 5 to 10 kids in a family and there are no twins. She has one second cousin who got pregnant with triplets and ended up delivering 2 babies, which she was like in her 40s, mid 40s.
Wow.
And that's the only other set of multiples in the whole family. And then my uncle actually has twin identical boys that he had via surrogate. And so now then my twins.
Oh my goodness. So you have a big family. So the thing is for you, it was very typical. Like you knew that you wanted a big family. Did your hubs want a big family too?
Yeah. So when I was a kid, I used to want to have 6 kids and be a CEO. That was my plan for my life.
I like it. It's a good
Go
plan.
big or go home, right? If that tells you anything about myself in a nutshell, there it is. And then when I was in my 20s and working, I was like, well, I can see why my parents had 6 kids. They got married in college and had kids in their 20s and early 30s. So by the time my mom was 34, she was done having kids.
Okay.
And I met my husband when I was 28, turning 29. And I was like, well, I don't know if I could have 6 kids. You're sort of going to run out of time. And so I had sort of settled on 4. And then as we had talked about it, he was like, yeah, that's great. He's one of 3. He was totally open to a big family. I think, me and my siblings, particularly my sisters, are very close. I was roommates with my sisters. When one sister literally moved out of our apartment a month before we got married and my husband moved in. Like I went from my sister roommate to husband. So that was always what I wanted. My husband was on board with that. And I think if that's your mentality, you have the first kid, you're like, we know we're not done. We had the second, we knew we weren't done. And when we had our third, I remember looking at my husband, she was probably 2 weeks old. And I looked at my husband, we were laying in bed and I said, we're going to have another baby, right? And he was like, she's 2 weeks old. This is too soon. And I was like, no, not now, but just in general, because if this is my last baby, I need to know that this is my last baby. And I want to make sure you're like still on board with the plan. And he was like, yeah, that's still the plan. I'm like, okay.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And it's like,
so you still had a baby. She was still a baby when you started trying again. Did you plan everybody to be that close? Because it's a little bit, well, it's not really that much of an age gap, right? So it's 7, 5, then 2.5, then now 7.5 months.
Yeah. So my first 2 are 25 months apart and my second and my third are 28 months apart. And I liked that gap. Yeah. I think I was also kind of looking at the horizon of I'm getting closer to 40. And now in the area we live in, I'm a very average aged mom for where I am. My OB was like, you can have kids till you're 45, you'll be fine. Like for my family and my genes, people had babies in their 20s and people had babies in their 40s. So like I didn't have sort of the, can I get pregnant worry? Yeah. It was more like, what do I want to do? So luckily I didn't have that to worry about. But yeah, the plan was kind of to have them be that kind of 2-ish years apart. I definitely didn't want to under 20, less than 24 months. I have many friends that have, kids that are 18, 20 months apart. For me, that was a lot. I honestly would have considered, if I had known I was going to have twins, I probably would have said, let's wait a little bit more. But yeah, Lily was still kind of a baby. And I think for me, I remember when I realized I was pregnant, I called a friend of mine and I was like, I knew I wanted more kids, but we had such a good routine with the 5 of us. Yeah. And, remember my second was born September 2019. Mm-hmm. So she was born then. She was born with my second had congenital cataracts, which is very rare. I don't want anyone listening to this to worry. It's like a 1 in 10,000 baby thing. And half the time it's genetic. And so she had surgery as an infant, We had a lot of medical stuff with her. Then we had COVID, and it was like we had all these things. And then we had our third February of 2022. And my third is just, she's so chill. She's a super fun kid. She's really easygoing. She was like the perfect third kid where you're like, she like sleep trained herself at 8 weeks. She was sleeping 8 hours at night. She is just a go with the flow, really fun kid where you're like, yeah, I'll have another look at my third. She's perfect. She's the perfect kid. I mean, all my kids are perfect. Every kid is perfect, but like,
of course. But there's definitely kids that are less challenging. That's obvious. There's adults that are less challenging.
My first was a really challenging toddler. My second had medical things. And then we had COVID. And then we had our third. And she was just like so chill.
That's a lot. I think that's basically the blessing after dealing with everything from your last kid. Mother Nature's, hey, listen, we're going to make this one easy. And don't worry, it'll be easy like this from now on. Mother Nature is saying, you can trust me, Emilia. It is okay.
I mean, I will say, I was literally saying this. I have a friend who has 4 boys. And so we talk about being, big family moms all the time. And I said to her, I'm like, it's kind of a blessing in disguise that I had twins, because I do think if I only had a singleton, I think there would have always been this like, what if? Do we want another one? We're sort of getting to the point where we got to make our mind fast. And, our family is done with 5. I joke that we're like oversold by 1, but it's great. And it's been challenging. Twins are challenging. 5 kids 7 and under is a particular like beast to manage. But now in hindsight, I'm like, what would we have? It'd be so easy if we only had one baby. What's that?
Yes. I think people with larger families, you guys are cut from a different cloth in general. For the record, I have said this on multiple podcasts. I was dying to have a giant family. I wanted so many freaking kids. My number was 6. That was going to be like my starting point, which was an interesting negotiation pre the engagement and marriage. But everybody knew that that's just what I wanted. And with these 2 and all the issues that I had, and that's different stories for different days, but it just wasn't in the cards. We had to close up shop. I couldn't do it. My body could not go more than the 2. So between my body and then them having their own issues, which they're in the room, which is why I'm referencing that way. But it wasn't there. But I always have so much envy and admiration for people that get to fulfill that dream. Because that is that's like the lotto winning numbers. And you did it. Like you got it. But you got this bonus kiddo, which, by the way, changes a lot of things for vehicles, for traveling. So that now the odd number changes things up a bit. So when you knew that you had your 20s and the cat was out of the bag and everybody knew, when the 20s were 2 weeks, did you and your hubs have the discussion and say, all right, this is our last, right? I have to know if it's our last. Did you go through the process of your duo as your last infancy newborn experience?
Yeah, it was once we knew it was twins. So the plan was always we were going to have 4. And then we kind of joked that once I kind of got to 32 or 33 weeks, like my husband, we can go get a vasectomy. We're good. Baby's good. I'm good. We hit 33 weeks. We'll be fine. And I guess in the irony of all ironies, at 31 weeks, I found out twin A was breech and twin B was head down. But the way they were positioned was pretty much like they're not going anywhere. My twin B's butt was like on my cervix. They were just, I had, almost 9-pound singletons, 3 9-pound singletons essentially. And my twins were measuring 90th percentile of a singleton my entire pregnancy. So they were so big. I mean, I had 10 pounds of babies at like 3 weeks. So they were so big. Coincidentally, at my OB office, I had the pelvic floor PT was a twin mom. There was a nurse practitioner that was a twin mom. So everyone knew. And so she said, I said, what are the odds that they do it? But she goes, they're not moving. She goes, they're so wedged in there that you're going to get a scheduled C-section. And I had 3 unmedicated vaginal deliveries for my singletons with no interventions. It was very important to me. It was what I wanted. Obviously I wanted healthy babies and I wanted to be healthy, but that was what I wanted. And so then I went into this going the entire pregnancy saying, whatever happens, the most important thing is 2 healthy babies. That's the most important thing. There's a lot more going on here. I'm 2 years older. I got 3 kids to take care of. I cannot get cute about, oh, this is my preference or whatever. What you tell me to do this time, I'm going to listen and not push as much as I did with my singletons, because I pushed on some things. And so, because the most important thing for me was to try to keep them to stay pregnant as long as I could.
Of course.
So my goal for myself was to make it to 37 weeks, which was April 1st. I wanted April babies. That was the goal. I made it to my scheduled C-section at 38 weeks and 3 days. I did not think I would do that. I was enormously pregnant.
Aww.
And they were, baby boy was 7-12 and baby girl was 6-13. They were the big twins.
Yeah. I think that's an understatement. You just did air quotes for the people that can't see you.
They were the big twins in the hospital. Every nurse had to come and see the big twins.
Oh.
So I think when I found out it was a C-section, they had said, and again, because of I knew I wanted multiple kids, not having a C-section the first and even second time was way more important because I knew I wanted to have other kids. So this being kind of the last pregnancy, they had said, well, you can get your tubes out when we're doing the C-section. And I was like, oh, what does that mean? What does that entail? They're like, it adds 5 minutes to the surgery, it adds 0 minutes to the recovery, and it is 100% effective.
True.
And I was like, form of birth control. Well, okay, let me think about this, because it kind of just takes the question off the table. And
sure.
Now I think, would I ever want another one? I think that mentally going into the 4th pregnancy, I had called a friend of mine and I was like, I'm pregnant. And I'm even like, is this even the right decision to have a 4th kid? Right. We were so good as a family of 5. We were in such a good place. And it was like, now we're going to change this dynamic again and add in another person to this and get used to having, another kid. And I think when you go from 2 to 3, you kind of get used to like, you're triaging problems. Your choice is 3 kids, 2 kids, or 1 kid. It's it's very rare that you have alone time. You generally have a kid with you all the time, everything you're doing. And so we were kind of used to that environment. It was like, how much more complicated is this going to get with a 4th, given that we were in such a good spot with 3? And then I was like, no, I don't think I would have changed my mind ever. It would have maybe been like maybe a little bit more of a gap, but it was kind of like kind of on this plan. And then we found out it was twins, and it was like, shit, now we're really.
Oh my God, it's the truth. It's honestly, it's a shocker for everybody, right? Whether it's your first pregnancy or last pregnancy, nobody really sees it coming. Or how shall I say this? 99.9% of people don't see this coming. Even if you had, there's 18 sets of identical twins in my family, and I'm an identical twin, yet everybody is still shocked.
So what's
when that
funny
second
is
heartbeat is seen.
I do a workout group with moms, Fit for Mom. If you guys have heard for it, it's the best. It's great where we're from. And they're there, and this mom goes, oh, I was so worried it was twins, and I took the pregnancy test, and I looked for these signs, and I said, what signs? You telling me I could have known this? And she goes, yeah, the things, like your pregnancy test is really pregnant. And I was like, I literally had so many hormones raging through my body that before the ultrasound, like my pee was cloudy.
Oh.
And I Googled pregnant with cloudy pee, and it's because of hormones or whatever. And I thought, okay, fine, 4th pregnancy, who knows? Instant pregnancy test, cloudy pee. You would have thought I looked pregnant at 8 weeks.
But why would you? You already had
my 4th
singletons.
pregnancy.
Yes, you would have thought it would have showed up by now. That's it. By the 4th time, you would have seen it. But I'm so stoked for you. I can't even tell you.
The odds of me having twins were like so small.
I'm just more concerned about when you take the kids on an airplane, what the seating arrangement is going to be, because there's a child that's just going to be random. Are we going to leave them with the pilot in the bathroom? Like, where does that bonus kid go now?
We're going to Mexico at the end of January.
There you go. So what's the seating situation?
My parents are flying with us. They're going to.
Okay.
And so the plan was, if we were on the same flight, then we would configure seats so that it's 9 seats total. And if they were not, that we would do 1 lap baby so that we were a 6.
Okay.
And we would just suck it up and hold a baby for the flight. Yeah, I don't know so we have typically flown with my parents. I lived in the town I grew up in. And so my parents live 6 blocks away from me. And my mom very intentionally lives walking distance from my house. We drew a circle around her house and gave it to my realtor and said, this is where we can live. I have to be able to walk to her house. This is why we live close. If we don't fly with my parents, that would be another. I think what we would probably do is 2, 2, and 3. I don't know, 3, 3, and 1.
It's got to be, I don't know.
Put the kids in a row together and an adult across. My
honestly,
kids are.
I don't know. I would say for the listener that's out there, really just my mom listening to this episode, the only reason why I bring that up is because we were just talking about Disney before we started taping. And so I'm like, okay, it was complicated with the 4 of us because the thing is just the 4 of us, we have the chunks of 3. So it's okay. Do we split up 2 and 2? And so now what we did when they were littles, we always split up 2 and 2. Then when they got bigger, we did me and the twinnies. And then my husband just went in steerage or whatever. No one cared. And it's an interesting thing because as your family gets bigger, it's not just, take college off the table, right? Of college savings, but it's like the car and it's going places and sitting at a table at a restaurant.
So it's even like we were driving a sedan before we had, before I got pregnant. So we knew we were going to have to get a new car with pregnancy 4 anyway. And so then when we found out it was twins, we just said, okay, we need an 8-seat minivan. There are limited choices. If I could pick, I would choose not having a car. And so the fact that I have to buy a car, I'm not happy about in general. And we said, everyone laughed. I said, we need 8 seats so someone can drive us to the airport.
There you go.
If there was no reason other than that.
Genius. I didn't even think
you got to
that.
have an extra chair so someone can drive you to the airport and then drive your own car back home. So I was on, home with the twins, and my husband had 6 weeks of paternity leave. So we took 4 when the twins were born. And then he took the last 2 weeks and an extra week in August. I went back to work August 1st. He did quote dad camp for 3 weeks with the big kids, and our nanny had the babies. And so during the 4 weeks he was off when the twins were born, I said, pick a car from CarMax, ship it to the closest one, drive over there, drive it around for 20 minutes, make sure it doesn't smell, write him a check and come home. Buy literally the cheapest car that runs that our family can fit in.
I love that. Make sure it doesn't smell. Forget about, is it fuel efficient? Is it going to save? What's the carbon offsetting? This is like, throw up? Okay, no, good, we'll take it.
It's the smoke, right? You can't get smoke out. We looked at our car and we drive less than 5,000 miles a year. We don't drive a lot. We drive around town. We have a house in Southwest Michigan. And that is 60 miles both, each way. We just don't drive a lot. And so we didn't need a car. I said, get a car that can handle 15,000 miles a year for the next 5 to 8 years.
Yeah.
And then we can decide, then we can get an electric, I would love a plug-in electric hybrid. But at that point, you're already like, I'm paying for this. I'm paying for this. Yes. I have all the medical. I have all this stuff all in 1 year. And we just need our family to fit in one vehicle that is safe, that can get us from point A to point B. It doesn't need to be fancy. I don't care about any of that. I'm just one of those people that doesn't value a fancy car. I would rather spend my money going on vacation. Me too.
I am with you. For those people like right now in the area where everybody's got those cyber trucks, I can't. For all of you that are listening, yes, I will judge you on the highway. I would say this is the one time in my life that I feel like I'm going to judge people, because that is just a status symbol. There's nothing about it, unless I'm missing something, but I don't know. We digress with the car thing.
I used to drive my dad's stick shift car around town, stalling out on every left-hand turn when I was in high school, because I refused to drive my mom's minivan with my sister in the passenger seat, screaming in the intersection because we couldn't turn left because it kept stalling. And here I am, minivan mom. It's fine.
Gotta do it. You have no choice. That's what it's going to be. Those or like one of the buses.
The massive
for like
SUVs,
this. Yes.
Which I didn't want. And it was like, get the smallest car that our family can fit in. And that's a minivan.
All right.
My kid loves the minivan.
How did you, when you knew that the option for tying your tubes was on the table, how did that conversation with your hubs go? Did you say, okay, or was it like, okay, we'll decide then, and when you're literally getting your C-section, you're like, okay, close it up?
No, no. I came home from the appointment and I said, look, there is an option that while, assuming this ends up as a C-section, again, my OB was like, do not think that this baby's going to turn. Don't get your heart set on that. Like it could happen, but the odds are so low. Once I sort of accepted that, okay, this is not, and I had been studying, I joined all the crunchy, not the best description, but it's effective. Childbirth of multiples. How do you do this? And then, of course, you're like, you can birth your breech baby vaginally. Like, that's not for me. I don't need it that bad. I had what I wanted 3 times. I'm okay with this being different. So once I sort of was like, okay, I'm pretty sure I texted my sister-in-law, who's a nurse midwife, and was like, who was actually working at a maternal fetal medicine office at the time. So I talked to her a lot when I was pregnant with twins, but she's seen it all. She's seen all this at work. And I came home and said to my husband, look, they can take my tubes out. So tube tying and tubes out are 2 different things. Tube tying is effective, but not 100%. And so if you're done, you can get your tubes out. It also lowers your risk of ovarian cancer. So there's like a, side benefit of it. And I was like, they can do this. We're done. Like we're pretty sure we're done. He was like, oh dear God, yes. And I'm like, this is your reaction now. So his very positive reaction when I called him, then apparently he hung up the phone and was like, oh dear God. So he kept it together for me. He launched it by himself, which was the right way to do it. Thank you, husband. And so, he was like, wait, does this mean I don't have to get a vasectomy? And I said, yes, it means I'm already there. They're already doing all these other things. I'm already getting surgery. It seems like kind of a no-brainer if we know 100% that we're done. And I think the fact that I was already in 30-ish weeks, I feel like every pregnancy, I knew the milestones, and with twins, I really knew them as kind of, 28 weeks is lungs, right? If you can get the steroid shot at 28 weeks, then your odds are better. If you can do this at this time, this is better. And so at that point, I was far enough into the pregnancy where I felt like, okay, if they were to be born tomorrow, we'd be fine. Babies would be fine, right? We kind of hit that point of like viability where you're out of a much bigger danger zone for the babies. And so, then my next appointment, they're like, what do you think about this? And I was like, I think we take them out. And they're like, in every appointment, they would say to me, we still have that you want your tubes out. You know that you remember it's 100% effective. There is no going back on this. And in a good way, they were very clear of, if you do this, you're done. In theory, I think you probably could do IVF later if you really wanted to go back. But they were pretty clear. In almost every appointment, I think they confirmed, you're scheduled for this day. You have your C-section. We have that your tubes are coming out. Is that correct? And so it was like, I kind of had to really commit.
Yes.
I think it helps that, with twins, you have more ultrasounds. You're seeing your babies a little bit more, at 30, probably 32 weeks, 33 weeks. I was going to the office 2 days a week until I was through the month of February. And then the month of March was my quote hibernation month, where I didn't go to the office. I was working from home full time. I stopped working out, guys. I was working out through February, not effectively. I was mostly just standing there and chatting, but I did go, and I stopped working out. I was staying at home. I wasn't even like doing stuff with the kids. I wasn't like going to the grocery store. I was literally hanging around the house. I think I had heard probably on one of your podcasts, maybe on a Twiniversity blog, but if you can be horizontal 12 to 16 hours a day, you'll stay pregnant. So that's what I was doing. And just really taking it easy to try to get through March. And so, I was so uncomfortable at the end that it was like, I don't even know if I can be pregnant again after twin pregnancy. I mean, I think that
they ruined you.
It is not the same as a singleton pregnancy. It is not the same at all.
I'm so happy that you said that, because so many people really don't understand, right? Like, we know that twins are different than singletons in so many ways. It starts in pregnancy, then it goes to newbornness, and then everything. It's not even the same sport, right? People are like, oh, that's a different ball game. It's not even the same sport. It's literally sushi and volleyball. That's literally where we are. It's a very different thing. But that, knowing that this was kind of the tail end, and knowing that your tubes were going to be, totally out, we can't go back, we're going to do this. How did you deal with the newbornness? Did you enjoy it more because you knew this was the end of your journey?
I tried. It was not the most like relaxing smushy snuggles. I mean, you get the squishy baby snuggles with twins, and snuggling two babies at once is way better. No offense to my singletons. It's way better than one baby at a time. If you love that newborn feel, man, twins are for you because you get two at once. I think that, twin newborns are really hard. Twin pregnancy is really hard on your body. It is. I mean, I joke that my oldest, his first grade Mother's Day picture, they had to draw a picture of their mom. And the picture of is me in my bed. That is what he remembers of me from that school year, because I was so sick. I was in bed all the time. And I'd say, I can help you with your pajamas, but I have to be laying in bed. And I would lay in bed and put pajamas on the kids. Yeah. Then I was so pregnant, I was in bed. Then I had twin newborns and I was in bed. And literally it's a picture of me with my bed. And I'm like, well, if this is what I did for the last 9 months, that is very accurate. Yeah. Newborn twins are really hard. And I did, I think we were less afraid of my husband and I have two newborns because it was our fourth time with a newborn. And the third time, it was like, my second had medical things. And so by the time we had a third baby and she was so chill, it was like, God, this is so easy compared to the other two. You're just less afraid of all the newborn things, I think, the third time around. The second time is still hard because every baby is different. And by the time you have a third baby, you're like, well, I know this baby's going to be different than my other two, but I kind of have a better handle of what could happen. With twins, we were fine with the two babies. I think the hardest part is we had two babies and still three other small kids. My kids, when the twins were born, were 6, 4, and 2. So we had a 6-year-old, first grader that in theory could do stuff by himself, but he's the oldest, oldest boy. He was on the gravy train. I don't know. Yeah. he and my 4-year-old tended to learn to do things by themselves at the same time. Our 2-year-old is extremely independent and also has learned to do things because she's the third and she wants to be included and participate. But twin newborns for us, it's fine. It was fine until it wasn't fine. Everyone would be fine. And I can juggle two babies and I could feed one and feed the other. And I tandem fed if I needed to. We were combo feeding from the beginning. Thank you to your podcast that said, feed your baby however they can be fed, because mentally I went in with that mentality. So we were doing some formula. I was breastfeeding. We were taking care of all the kids. And, it's all fine until you have 2 screaming newborns and 3 kids that need something, or even one other kid that needs something. And it's not that we couldn't triage problems. We were used to doing that already. It was more that we both, my husband and I, are still holding a baby 90% of the time when the kids are running around. And so my oldest two, I think, have adapted well. I think the one who's probably been the most impacted is my 2-year-old because, she's only 2.
A baby. Yes, she was a baby.
Yeah, she's still little and she likes being with the big kids. She's very independent, but it's hard when you're, a lot of times at dinner at the end of the day, she'll want to be with me. And that's fine. I have one baby on one knee and I have her on the other. And I you just got to be careful because of the baby. Yeah. And nursing complicates that because between the hours of 5 and 7, the odds that I'm feeding a baby are high. At the end of the day, they're getting ready for bed. I'm trying to feed them, especially getting home from work. And so the kids just kind of have to know that I have one hand. I could do things for you with one hand, but I have to keep this baby nursing. And now their baby boy is the most distracted eater I think I've ever had. This kid has the worst FOMO. And so I'm like, now I have to go sit in the corner in the dark to feed him. So I really can't be around. Yeah, it's complicated. I mean, the dynamics of big families are complicated and I grew up with that. So I get it, but it's hard not to worry about a different thing. I worry about something different with each kid.
Literally, you are like a general with your little army. And then or you're the captain of your pirate ship. It's always, there's so many fun analogies with a big family, but it's so interesting that I love that you wanted just the one more. Did you hope that your final would be a boy too? So you had 2 boys, 2 girls, everybody goes crazy about, oh my God. Because I do, one of the things about for my set of twins is that I do have the boy girl set. So everybody was like, oh, it's done. Everything's done in one shot. Right. And you're like, why, when did you get involved?
Oh, I love this. I love the comments. Oh, you have boy girl twins. Isn't that perfect? And we're like, we have 3 other children. I'm awkward smiling for those listening. Thanks, guys.
What about those? Do they count or they don't count now?
So we did not find out the genders for the first 3 kids. The plan would have been for baby 4, probably not to find out the gender, except for that my son, probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 months before I got pregnant with the twins, literally said to me, Mama, can we have 2 more babies and can they both be boys so that there are more boys than girls? He like manifested twins into existence.
He did that to you.
And so we had kind of joked that we probably were going to find out the gender of baby 4 and just not tell anyone. And honestly, not tell anyone that we knew, just so that we knew whether or not we needed to mentally prepare my oldest if it was another girl.
Smart.
He's old enough to kind of get it. When we were having our third, I said to him, do you think it's a boy or a girl? And he said it's a girl, because at that time, I think he thought you could only have sisters. He had a sister. He was, 4. That's how kids' brains work. Oh, every kid is a sister. Everyone, you just get sisters. And then he realized, wait, there are brothers out there too. That's a thing. And so we did find out the gender of the twins. I said, when I found out it was twins, I said, I'm done with surprises. No more surprises. I need to know. I cannot pick 4 names because they were die. It was like,
yeah,
it could have been 2 boys, 2 girls, or a boy and a girl. I literally would have needed 4 names and 4 middle names.
Yep.
We were out of names. It was my 4th pregnancy. So
then it's just like you turn on the news, whatever it is, that's going on the list.
Right, you like that one?
That's it.
We ended up telling the kids that I was pregnant with 2 babies and that it was a boy and a girl. We told the kids first, and we said, you can tell the rest of the family.
Yeah.
You can spill the beans to the rest of the family. So they did that. I was literally saying to a friend today that it's kind of a good thing it was twins, because I do think that if it was a singleton, I would have looked at my husband and said, we sure we don't want one more? Are we sure? Are we sure we're done? I love babies. I love like the squishy little babies. I am enjoying toddlerhood the 3rd time around a lot more. My first was a very difficult toddler. My second had medical things. The 3rd time I'm able to kind of enjoy it more. Like I'm better at it. That's having toddlers the 3rd time. So we'll see how it is 2 at once, but
Going to be great.
I can see why people who have twins first, or even if you have a surprise 2 and 3 twins, even if you thought maybe you go for 4, like it's a lot. And I have 3 other kids. Like this is not my first rodeo, and it's a lot. Even my mom, who has 6 kids, she'll be with the twins and she's 2 babies, huh? I'm like, Mom, it is not the same.
But she's not going to be able to empathize because she had a big family. I think that sometimes
she does, because she's there with both babies.
Yeah.
My mom watches my kids on Fridays. So she's there with the babies and my 2.5-year-old. And she's with the twins and she's, okay, 2 babies. Yes, it's complicated. There's just, because her solution was always just to carry the baby around. You can't do that with 2.
Nope. You could technically wear one. We can MacGyver things, but yes, it is certainly a different ball game. But even with that, do you still now, knowing, like looking back, do you feel that, yes, that was the right decision, that you're done? Or are you already like, okay, I'm done, but I'm going to start getting excited about the next generation?
Oh, look. That's my sisters listen to this, our son. I would really love it if one of my sisters had a baby in 3 years. Would be super convenient for me to get out all my, like, I want the squishy baby.
Yes, that would be nice.
And I am a mom that enjoys the newborn phase. I know a lot of people do not like little babies. Like, honestly, give me an 8-week-old baby. They kind of sleep. They kind of know how to eat, but they're still really squishy. I would love that. If you would like to take my 20 to 30-month-old child away for 10 months and then bring them back when they've sorted out some of their feelings, like I would be okay with that. Toddler is really hard for me, but like newborn, where they can really move, like I love that.
Oh, I mean, I will do this. I am not a fan of the newborns. I will take the toddlers.
But
I will take 2 mobile ones. That's it. I only had the 2. I could do it. I could have 1,000 toddlers and wrangle them like at the playground. I would be the mom with everybody's kids being like, okay. Because I think one of the benefits of having twins first is that you learn how to run your army.
Yeah.
And so at the playground, like after 2, like honestly, like when they had play dates, I'd be like, just give me everybody's kids. Like at this point, I'm not going to sit down. Like I'm not going to relax.
We don't do play dates, but I have 5 kids, so.
So no, but it wouldn't even be play dates technically. It would just be like when you're at the playground.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Moms I'd be like, go take the work call or whatever. Like I got them. We're going to go over here. We're going to all play in this section. But I love that. And you'll see this with the twinnies. that they will play as a little pack. And because of that, your pack will be a tighter pack.
Yeah.
It's going to be so magnificent. You would like, honestly, I know that you'd probably have more moments of being overwhelmed than anything, but it is, think about like the Christmases that they're going to have as adults. I am so excited for you and I am so excited for them. And it was just meant to be. This is it.
I mean,
just meant to have a duo.
Yeah, the universe knew something that I didn't, I think, for sure. I mean, our goal for 2024, my goal for the family was April babies and survival. That was our goal for this year. And my husband and I are both high achieving kind of perfectionist types. And he said, that's a terrible goal. And I was like, I think it's a realistic one. And I don't think it's going to be that easy. I think it's going to be still really hard. And now looking back on the year, I'm like, we survived plus. Like I give us like a little plus on our survival. We got through it. The kids are happy. Each pair or trio of kids has a special relationship. My older two with the twinnies, my 2.5-year-old with everyone. Like it's so fun to watch all the dynamics. The babies with each other is like so fun. And so like that for me is what I wanted with the big family. It is a lot of logistics. It can be very chaotic. We are definitely in a situation where we need 2 adults on hand to handle like bedtime and dinner. Needs 2 adults, mandatory, impossible with 1 adult still. And we'll get there eventually. But I think that, I kind of can't see it any other way now. Like I can't imagine not having the twins.
No, I can't imagine you not having them either. It was all supposed to be. I'm so envious and I am so okay with saying that. I'm so happy for you. I really am. I am. And that's one of the best parts about Twiniversity. For those of you out there in the universe, like I had a closed shop. It wasn't even an option. Like the doctors were like, you're done, the end. And so when one of the big motivators of starting this whole stupidity in the first place is since I knew that I couldn't do it and that we weren't sure about adopting or surrogacy, I found a loophole. And the loophole is that I get to live through your families. And it is so rewarding and so fulfilling as somebody who wanted a big family. And then to meet people like you, Emilia, and hear your story, it's delicious. I think in the very beginning, when like maybe before the kids started school, I would be like, definitely the word would be jealous. But now there's no more jealousy. Now it's just, I can enjoy it. And I'm so happy. And I get to watch you guys. And especially when I start stalking you on social and stuff, it's so nice to be able to see everything come full circle. And now Twiniversity is so old that we have kids that are in high school. And so we're now seeing like their blossoming, interests and everything that they're doing. It's just fantastic. And the fact that you share this with us, like when I say, what do you want to do? You have a free hour. I don't know if I would put me at the top of the list.
I feel so honored to, well, one, I want to say, like, even as a seasoned mom, I have a sorority sister who had twins first, and I literally texted her from the OB office, I'm pregnant with twins. What do I do? And she's like, you'll be great. She's like, follow Twiniversity. You were the first thing she said to me. You need information that is relatable to you in the situation you're in, whether it's a kid that is having a hard time with something, whether it's a really challenging toddler, whether it's twins, you need a group that understands what you're going through. And so to have it like all in one place was so helpful for me. And especially like, again, this is not my first rodeo being pregnant with kids, with newborns, any of that, but still it's like, there's so many things that are unique to having twins, even if it's pregnancy, nursing, the newborn phase, especially.
Yeah.
It's so different. It is so different than having a singleton.
Listen, that's why we exist. I'm so excited that you found us and I'm happy that we could help you, even though honestly, you're so well vetted and you have more credibility.
Well, I heard your voice
when they
in the hospital when they said, do you want the exact formula? And I heard your voice. Feed them how they ever. That is best. And I was like, yes, bring it in. Like,
amen. Feed the baby. That's the first rule. It should literally be tattooed on every labor and delivery nurse's face. You feed the baby. If you want to breastfeed, then you protect the supply and then you address any problems. Yes. Literally, it is my mantra. Feed the baby, protect your supply, address the problems. Yeah. It is our golden rule. But I'm so excited. And thank you so, so much for sharing your story and how You have your final pregnancy, as I did air quotes because I always forget that people can't see us, but your final pregnancy ended up being your best one. I'm just going to say we're a little partial here at Twiniversity. So
we did it. I did it. I'm proud of myself. The 20s are doing great.
oh my gosh. Now, guys, if you have a ginormous family, maybe you're on your 11th and 12th kid. I would really love to talk to you just about the laundry situation. I think I want to get into that. Forget about the airplanes. I don't know if we're doing much travel with a family of 4, but for all of you out there, if you guys have a story to share, we're genuinely like, I really mean it. I'm very interested in learning about our community because it's not me and it's not you. It's really in us. And it's something that the singleton world really may not get, right? Because for them, it's okay. I have a singleton. I'm a crunchy mom. I'm a singleton. I'm the CrossFit mom. I'm the singleton. I'm this. Like, you definitely have a label, but with twinnies, it wipes out that second label and you're just a twin parent. That's all that it is. So I would love to hear your stories. So if you need us for anything, slip into our DMs. We're just Twiniversity on everything. And of course, you could email us at community@twiniversity.com. But Emilia, thank you so, so much for taking your freaking break time to play with me. And now you get to tell them that it lasted another hour and just go promise me you're going to relax for a little bit.
Oh, I will be. Don't worry. I will continue to hide from my children.
Love it. Okay, that is... No true words have been spoken, but thank you so, so much. And guys, like I said, if you need anything, you let us know. We'll always be here. And until next time, guys, see you later, alligators. Thanks for listening.